OTAs are underway this week, and the Denver Broncos face a tough challenge. How do you trim this stacked defense down to just 25 players without cutting someone who could end up starting elsewhere? In today's video, we're diving into the key positional battles to watch during OTAs. We'll cover who's likely to make the team, who might be on the bubble, and which tough decisions could come back to haunt the Broncos front office. It's a good problem to have, but a problem nonetheless. Let's not forget, Denver had a top 3 scoring defense last season. And unlike other top defenses around the league, the Broncos are not only bringing back every starter, they've actually improved across the board. Meanwhile, teams like the Los Angeles Chargers are dealing with major losses, including 4 defensive starters. This unit is loaded. Just last week, we broke down the numbers showing Denver has the top sack duo in the NFL. On top of that, undrafted free agent Dondre Tillman racked up 5 sacks, and rookie edge rusher Jonah Ellis matched him with 5 of his own. That's serious depth on the edge. We're talking about a team with a wealth of pass rushers, and that's before you even mention one of the most dominant defensive players in the entire league. Riley Moss is back healthy, and they've added elite talent like Jade Barrett, a top 10 level prospect. If there was one weak spot last year, it was inside linebacker, especially after Alex Singleton went down with an ACL injury in Week 3. At one point, Denver was playing with backups to the backups. But now, they've brought in a physical, hard-hitting linebacker so highly sought after that the 49ers made a personal pitch to keep him. He chose Denver instead. That's Jonas Drew Lawrence, or Dree Law, and he's already making a big impact. Singleton is also back and fully healthy, a leader on and off the field, and the team's top tackler from 2 seasons ago. This defense is scary good. The real question now is, how do you narrow it down to just 25 defenders? Let's go position by position, compare last year's roster breakdown, and I'll give you my predictions for who stays, who goes, and what surprises might be in store. Let's start where it all begins, getting pressure on the quarterback. And that means looking at the defensive line and edge rushers. In Vance Joseph's 3-4 scheme, the defensive line is aggressive and attack-focused. Zach Allen mentioned how players want to be part of this system because if you're one of those 3-down linemen, your job is simple: penetrate. No waiting to diagnose run versus pass. You're going upfield from the snap. That aggressive mindset is what sets this defense apart. Last season, the Broncos carried 6 defensive linemen into the regular season, and I'm predicting they'll do the same this year. But there may be a key change. Jordan Jackson made the roster last year, played all 17 games, notched a sack, and forced a fumble. He's a talented player with upside, and a Colorado native from the Air Force Academy, which makes it even harder to project him off the roster. But here's the reality. With the addition of Savin Jones from LSU, one of the most underrated steals of the draft according to some scouts, there may not be room for both. If it comes down to Jackson versus Jones, I think the Broncos make the switch. Jackson's upside may keep him from slipping through waivers to the practice squad, but it's a calculated risk the team might have to take. Now let's talk outside linebackers, a critical part of Vance Joseph's pressure schemes. These players can line up on the edge, blitz, drop into coverage, or create chaos with 5-man rushes. Joseph is a master at disguising pressure and using his linebackers to generate disruption. Last season, the Broncos only carried 4 outside linebackers, and they still got strong production. Nick Bonitto stepped up in a big way, and the combination of Bonitto, Jonathan Cooper, Dondre Tillman, and rookie Jonah Ellis made an impact all year. But this year, it's hard to imagine sticking with just 4. Even after trading Baron Browning, the depth at this position is too strong. I expect Denver to carry at least 5 edge rushers, maybe even 6. That's a big jump from last season, and it means cuts will have to come from other positions to make room. That's where things start getting tricky. If you're adding guys like Q Robinson into the mix, you're going to have to make some tough cuts elsewhere. Robinson is generating a lot of buzz as a potential steal in this draft class. Nick Saban even called him the best special teams player he's ever coached. High praise and a strong indicator that Robinson's spot on the 53-man roster is safe. He's expected to contribute on special teams immediately, but don't be surprised if he sees real defensive snaps as well. Then there's Johnny Walker, the undrafted free agent who's turned heads in camp. One standout clip shows him dominating Missouri's offensive line, especially in a rep where he blew past the Kansas City Chiefs' first-round left tackle. If you've got a UDFA outplaying a top draft pick, that says a lot. If both Robinson and Walker make the final roster, that puts the Broncos 2 players over where they were last year at this position. That means cuts will have to come from somewhere else, and we'll take a look at where that could happen in just a bit. Next, let's talk about arguably the most improved unit on the roster, inside linebacker. Last year, the Broncos went into the season without Drew Sanders, who was recovering from a torn Achilles. He was stashed on injured reserve, but that won't be the case this time around. He's healthy and has to make the active roster. Add to that the return of Alex Singleton, a consistent leader and tackler, and one of the league's top linebackers when healthy, Dre Greenlaw. If Greenlaw stays on the field, this linebacker group could be elite, but with his injury history, the Broncos can't afford to carry just 4 inside linebackers again. We saw how that played out last season. By the end of the year, the team had to bring in Quan Alexander for a game and even had Justin Sternad starting. This year, carrying at least 5 inside linebackers makes much more sense. One potential cut candidate here is Lavelle Bailey, but that would be tough. Bailey has shown flashes of playmaking ability going back to his college days, including game-saving moments like the one against UNLV, where he disguised a blitz, dropped into coverage, and closed out the win. He's on the bubble, but he's made a strong case to stick around. And it's not just in college where Lavelle Bailey made plays. He showed it last preseason too. Remember that pick 6? He jumped a route and took it to the house. That play stood out not just for the athleticism, but for what it meant. This undrafted player had something special. It's no coincidence that Sean Payton personally called Bailey twice to recruit him to Denver. That almost never happens with undrafted players. When a head coach goes out of his way to convince someone to join the team, it speaks volumes. If the Broncos end up cutting either Justin Sternad or Lavelle Bailey, there's almost no chance either clears waivers and lands on the practice squad. Both bring real value on special teams too, which only adds to their case. Now remember, we're already trying to make room for 1 extra outside linebacker and 1 extra inside linebacker. That's going to squeeze the roster somewhere else, and it might mean trimming from a different position group. One area where Denver could consider making cuts, surprisingly, is cornerback, and that's only because of how deep and talented this group is. Let's start with the obvious. The Broncos have the best cornerback in football. That's not just fan talk. League executives and analysts say the same. On top of that, Riley Moss, when fully healthy, has Pro Bowl level talent. His only real struggles came after a tough knee injury early in the season, a questionable hit in the game against the Raiders. It took him until the playoffs to fully bounce back, and even then he was tasked with covering one of the NFL's most explosive offenses in Cincinnati. The Broncos also added Jaquan Jade Barron, who steps in as an immediate starter in the nickel package. He's expected to lock down the slot and go toe-to-toe with top receivers all year long. So when you look at the top 3, the shutdown corner, Riley Moss, and Jade Barron, you're looking at one of the best cornerback trios in the entire league. No exaggeration, no debate. That kind of depth might give the Broncos some flexibility to carry fewer corners than usual, but it won't be an easy call. Now let's talk about the cornerback depth beyond the top trio. Jaquan McMillian and Chris Abrams-Draine both look like excellent depth pieces. Abrams-Draine showed his potential when he stepped in after Riley Moss went down and immediately made an impact, including an impressive red zone interception against Justin Herbert. That's not an easy task for any rookie. So talent-wise, the Broncos are in a great spot with 5 solid corners. But here's the issue. What happens if one of them goes down? We saw it last season. When Moss was injured, Levi Wallace had to step in, and Jerry Jeudy completely exposed him. That game showed just how quickly cornerback depth can be tested. That might lead Sean Payton to keep a 6th cornerback just in case. That 6th spot could go to someone like Damari Mathis. If he makes the team, though, it'll come at the cost of another position group. Still, if Denver feels confident rolling with just 5 corners, it opens the door to carry an extra edge rusher or inside linebacker instead. It's a classic numbers game, and this is one of those positions that could tip the balance. Let us know in the comments, should the Broncos carry 5 or 6 corners? Now let's move on to safety, a position that saw a major upgrade this offseason. The Broncos went out and added Talanoa Hufanga, a Pro Bowler and All-Pro talent. That move wasn't just huge for the secondary, it may have also helped bring in Dre Greenlaw, who reportedly wanted to reunite with his former 49ers teammate. Hufanga plays with intensity and physicality, a true heat-seeking missile. That aggressive style comes with some durability concerns. Not major injuries like an ACL tear, but things like shoulder stingers or wrist sprains. That makes depth at safety even more important. Last season, Denver carried 5 safeties. This year, the numbers game could come down to P.J. Locke and J.L. Skinner. Both are hard hitters and solid contributors, especially on special teams. J.L. Skinner in particular has made a strong case. The Boise State product flies around the field and hits with authority. He's the kind of player who can turn special teams into a strength. It's hard to imagine leaving him off the roster. With Hufanga leading the group, plus young talent like Skinner pushing for a spot, this safety room might be one of the most underrated on the roster. J.L. Skinner just plays with absolute reckless abandon. He's one of the hardest hitters on the team and a special teams demon, and that might be exactly what gets him a spot on the final roster. The Broncos also added Sam Franklin, who played safety for the Carolina Panthers. You might have seen a few highlights of him. He's had some pick sixes, including one against Sam Darnold, but his primary value to this team is on special teams, and that alone might lock him into a roster spot. So what does that mean? It likely comes down to P.J. Locke or J.L. Skinner being the odd man out, and that would be brutal. Personally, P.J. Locke has been one of my favorite Broncos for years, ever since that game in Detroit 2 seasons ago. If you remember, the week before that game, Locke suffered a rib injury against the Chargers and wasn't cleared to fly. So what did he do? He rented an RV and had a coach drive him 18 hours from Denver to Detroit so he could play on Sunday Night Football, and then rode it back afterward. Doctors said he couldn't be on a plane, but he still threw his body around on an NFL field. That's the kind of toughness and team-first attitude every locker room needs. So yeah, it'd be a serious gut punch if he didn't make the roster. But the reality is the Broncos have an absurd amount of depth on this defense, and tough cuts are coming. Let's recap. Last year, 6 defensive linemen. I think it stays at 6. Last year, 4 outside linebackers. This year, we probably keep 5, maybe even 6. Last year, 4 inside linebackers. We'll need at least 5 this time. Last year, 6 corners. We might only keep 5 to make room elsewhere. That means some seriously talented guys like P.J. Locke, Jaquan McMillian, Justin Sternad, Lavelle Bailey, or J.L. Skinner might not make the cut, and that is absolutely heartbreaking. Let me know in the comments. Where do you think I'm spot on? Where am I way off? Who would you keep? And maybe the most important question of all, this defense was already top 3 last year, and it just got better. So we need a name, something worthy of this group. I've got a few suggestions for you. Shout out to Andrew and everyone who's thrown out ideas during live streams and in the emails. Let's go through them. No Fly Zone 2.0. Obvious throwback, especially since this secondary might even be better than the Super Bowl 50 squad. Restricted Airspace, RA, perfect timing with Memorial Day. Great acronym, and it fits because you can't pass or run on this group. Zero Dark Denver or Cyber Zero Defense plays off the stealth, blackout style approach this unit brings. Whatever you want to call them, this defense is going to be nasty. They're loaded with talent, they've got the attitude, and they're built to dominate. Happy Memorial Day, and major respect to all who have served. We live in the greatest country on earth, and we root for the greatest team, the Denver Broncos. Let's go.